So brief introductions. Kat, you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you so much for everyone to join the session. It's really exciting. It's a really great topic, and I hope that you will feel free to interrupt us with any questions. So please put any questions in the chat, or you can just speak aloud and say, hey, I don't understand this, or I'm confused, or could you talk a little bit more about this? That's all really great. It's hard for us to get a sense of how much information people already have about alternate reality games. So also we can slow down, we can go into more depth. It's a really fun topic though. I think this is the topic that my students love hearing about the most. When I ask them at the end of the semester, ARGs is always at the top of their list of things that get them really excited. So I am Kat Schrier. I am an educator and a game designer. I'm working as an associate professor and director of a gaming program at a university near New York City called Marist. And I'm also a game designer consultant with the World Health Organization. And I'm excited to meet all of you.
And I'm Matt Farber. I'm also an associate professor, about to go on a fall sabbatical. So I could do a bunch of writing about games, losing all work-life balance. So yeah, I also teach. I teach teachers. I teach and I'm the coordinator of the K-12 and secondary teacher education program at the University of Northern Colorado, which is I'd say I live in Fort Collins, so it's about the university's in Greeley. It's about less than an hour north of Denver. And I teach a game design course also and games in my pre-service education classes. And I had a similar experience as Kat when I talk about games, and for example, Breakout EDU is popular in classrooms. It's a classroom escape game. Then I moved to ARGs. A lot of eyes perk up, you know. So it's a super interesting topic, and we're going to delve into some of the background, the history, and where we are today, because you know, trends in education, we go from like buzzword to buzzword, but a lot of these seem to linger around the good ones, right? So we jump around from like, you know, the metaverse to ChatGPT, right? ARGs were before all that, and they're still quite popular actually, as we will see. Oh, one more thing, our contact information is on the slide, and we'll try to remember to share our slide deck at the end, but also feel free to screenshot away because we've jam-packed this with links. So everybody can leave the session not only learning the context of ARGs, but maybe making one.
Yeah, and we would love to keep in touch with all of you. So definitely please keep in touch with us.
So both of us have written books. So, you know, Amazon, just kidding. But we both have written books, and we've also both had a couple of different papers that we co-authored together, but separately, but yet published around the same time. We published these two books. Mine's on games and social emotional learning, and Kat, you can talk about your book, of course.
Yeah, so mine is on using games to teach ethics and civics, and also to think about things like perspective taking and empathy and compassion. And so it's like partially how to use them in the classroom, but also how to design your own games for ethics and civics.
And as we will see in these slides and our talk, games can promote and should promote pro-social learning and civic engagement. Okay, so a brief history of alternate reality games, also known as ARGs. Putting the slide deck together, I realized I should put ARGs here, just not assuming everybody knows what an ARG is. Well, you know, education and acronyms, right? If you have ever seen the Jane McGonigal talk from, I think it's like 2011, right? Or maybe before that, maybe the book.
It was 2001. Yeah, she was talking about it a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'm thinking about the book Reality is Broken. also, and so Jane McGonigal is a game designer, and she also created some of the very first, not the first, but some of the first alternate reality games that were embedded in the promotion of film. And this is the poster for AI. It's actually quite interesting because it is AI, right? And here we are today, now really still talking about AIs even more so. The Steven Spielberg film, and embedded in the movie poster scroll there are little secret clues. I should also say that, whoops, went ahead too far. As a child, I do remember watching movies like, I don't remember, maybe the Naked Gun movies or Airplane, one of those movies. And in the credits, they used to hide little Easter eggs also.
Oh, great, yeah.
Yeah. And I used to love looking for those things as a kid. This is really nerdy, but I remember the Weird Al Yankovic albums like on record, and there would always be something in like written inside or like etched in the record, like a little joke. It's maybe like a Mad Magazine thing, like you'd always look for these tiny little clues in the margins. And this one takes advantage of that by having a phone number that if players find it, they can call the phone number and then begin the game.
Nice. So this is ilovebees, and that's also one of the first. I think it was made in like 2004 when Halo 2 was about to come out. So it was used again also as a marketing tool, getting the potential players really excited about Halo 2. It started, the way that people got invited was that in the trailer for Halo 2, there was like this little like glitch almost at the bottom, and it gave a website there, which was ilovebees.com. And it looked like this like really basic, almost like old-fashioned website from the 90s. And then it you click on it and then you realize it's been hacked. And this is like an image of the website and an image of it being hacked. And you had to do a bunch of things like get solving puzzles and like getting phone calls and like working together, like with, you each get like a little pixel of a message and you have to like work together with other people to figure out what that message was saying. You all put together that entire image together. They had audio files, and it led up to people getting early access to seeing Halo 2 in action in theaters. And I think there were like hundreds of thousands of people that got involved in this ARG. So it was definitely really successful. And if I can, I would love to show you a video. I'm just hoping that we can hear it. So let me show you some of this stuff because I think it'll help us in seeing it. So, okay, so share screen, and here we go. Okay, I'm really hoping that you can actually hear this when I play it. If you can't, let me know. Also, can you hear that? Yes, okay, good. All right, here we go.
It all started in mid-July when a mysterious package was sent out, a jar of honey containing 9 letters that, when arranged properly, spelled out "I love bees." But on July 16th, the day when a theatrical trailer for the upcoming Halo 2 was launched nationwide, the pieces fell into place. At the end of the trailer, a quick flash of ilovebees.com sent Xbox fans sprinting for their PCs. At first glance, the website appeared to be nothing more than an amateur beekeeper's website that had been hacked. But a closer look only resulted in more confusion. What exactly was going to happen when the counter reached 0? It's early in the morning on August 24th. ilovebees.com is just updated with a list of over 200 sites. They gave GPS, longitude, and latitude, and now it's up to us to get to one of these sites to answer what is apparently going to be a payphone, give it a code word and a nickname, and all of a sudden that will unlock an axon. Once all these axons are activated online, it unlocks a hidden message. So far, it's been WAV files with gibberish or background story, we think, for Halo 2.
Dad, I've got the pass box over here. Coming. Remember, what is my nickname?
Operator?
What's your name?
This is Onitech Alec with the Berkeley crew. Lieutenant Watson, Lieutenant John the Man, Lieutenant Mr. Bojangle.
Soldier, what kind of special skill do you offer my crew?
I play guitar
Where is your guitar?
in the trunk of my car.
Put the phone down and go get your guitar.
At a San Francisco convention commemorating the end of the game, attendees got to play Halo 2 several days before it hit stores and meet the creators of ilovebees. But the main attraction for many were the so-called beekeepers themselves.
If this had just been a Halo 2 preview or even playing like they're doing right now, a lot of these people wouldn't come. It's the community first and last. That's the whole benefit of this kind of game, is that it pulls people together rather than separating them out.
All right, so hopefully that gives a little sense of like how excited people get about these kinds of activities, but also how like, wow, like payphones, like I don't think we could do that anymore. Huh? I don't know how many payphones there are around here. There's another example I wanted to show you too, which is for the Dark Knight. So when that premiered over many decades ago, some of you might remember that movie starring Heath Ledger. And so again, it was a marketing campaign to get people, first of all, excited that Heath Ledger was Joker. I know it's hard to imagine, but before he was the Joker, people were really upset that he was cast as the Joker. Now we all look back and see the brilliance of it, but at the time they were trying to also get people to know who Harvey Dent was. And so it was this campaign where they had people like dressing up as the Joker, and the Joker like putting projecting things on different buildings. At one point, they even had an airplane flying over Comic-Con and gave a phone number that people had to use to find out more information. And then they also had this like fake election campaign for Harvey Dent, which was like also happening at the same time as the 2008 election for president in the United States. So again, hundreds of thousands of people were participating in this, all leading up to real world events. So let me show you a little video of that. You know what, I'm just going to stay right here just so it's, can you all see this? Okay, so this is for Why So Serious, which was for the Dark Knight.
In the months leading up to the release of The Dark Knight, more than 10 million people were immersed in a real-world Gotham City. Dozens of websites were found that built a living, breathing city. Players played integrated casual games to unlock pieces of the story. Physical newspapers and special collectibles were distributed. Text messages, voice calls, and puzzles went onto mobile phones, connecting players to the major characters. Users from all over the world created and submitted videos and pictures. Real-world puzzles sent players around the globe. Live events gathered players together, unleashing Gotham City onto real city streets. Video and audio elements introduced players to the fast-paced emotional aspects of the film. A 360-degree, fully formed immersive reality. An integrated campaign where every element worked together to create a seamless experience. At Comic-Con, players gathered to take their first orders from the Joker. Working with players online, they scavenged for clues and found a big one typed out in the sky. Players hit the streets dressed as their leader, and Gotham City began to spill out into the real world. Their efforts put together yet another piece of the puzzle, a request to hit local landmarks in full Joker makeup. From London to the Middle East, to Pennsylvania, to India. Known as Joker henchmen, players who submitted photos were mailed copies of the Gotham Times, full newspaper detailing crime and corruption in the city. Clues in the articles led to new websites, which led to a phone number and a surprise callback from a corrupt police officer for anyone who called.
Check out document 365551.
Which helped solve puzzles that led to the live streaming of an arrest gone bad.
Internal affairs on the table.
Players picked up cakes at bakeries across America with a hidden package inside, a Joker phone, to keep in constant contact with the world of Gotham City.
Hello, I'm Harvey Dent, Assistant District Attorney of Gotham City. I'm calling to ask for your support.
Harvey Dent contacted players by phone and email and asked them to show their support. The response was overwhelming. Pictures streamed in. Dentmobiles brought Harvey Dent's message of change to 33 cities throughout the country. Citizens took to the streets, marched, protested, rallied, screamed, and chanted.
You're wearing a button for Harvey Dent. There is, I believe, Harvey Dent.
The immersive marketing campaign was reaching a critical mass. Gotham City even reached into bowling alleys around the world.
ClownTravelAgency.com has a list of cities around the world. And on Tuesday, these addresses started showing up.
At first, I thought it was an April Fool's joke. Pull the bag out, and everyone around me is like, open it, open it, open it.
And when a trail of clues led players to an exclusive trailer of The Dark Knight, the Joker got there first. And the news burst out onto the web. It was big, but not as big as what happened the week of the Dark Knight premiere.
On Tuesday, hundreds of Gotham City residents calling themselves citizens for Batman gathered in downtown New York City. And then at 10 p.m. sharp, they saw it, the bat signal.
But the Joker had plans of his own. In front of everyone's eyes, the beloved bat signal was defaced, along with everything else in Gotham City. From websites to videos to submissions, the Joker left his mark.
So as you can see, they were using many techniques to create this immersive story world where you were playing casual games, you were getting phone calls, you were doing real world puzzles, live events, websites, newspapers. They had a phone and a cake. I mean, it was just, there was a package in a bowling alley. Like, it was really, really, really immersive. I wish I had participated. I didn't participate in it, but I wish I had, because it sounds like it was amazing. And I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen. Stop. Not letting me do that. Not sure why. All right, I will figure it out so we can keep going.
You want me to start the slides again?
Yeah, I think if you just start it, it should just work. I'm not sure why. Did it stop my share?
Yeah, it did. I can I guess as co-host, it lets me override.
Oh, it lets you do it. I don't know why when there's no, okay, I'm glad it worked. So this was the Dark Knight, and yeah, thank you.
Awesome. So let's fast forward to ARGs today. As you can see, a lot of these are situated in a time of flip phones, which we now call burner phones, or pay phones and all of that. But it was also situated in a time when Henry Jenkins' work, who's now at USC, but at the time at MIT, on transmedia and fandom were really taking hold, right? And there's kind of still that exists today, as we will see, a bit of harnessing grassroots from fans, and as well as marketing, right? So this is one. I actually just had to sadly alter the slide because I included the Galactic Star Cruiser, which
Closing, yeah.
Yeah, closing. But Galaxy's Edge itself is an ARG in that it is interactive. It is a little different than the rest of Disneyland or in Hollywood studios in that the characters interact with the guests. It's not just photo ops. And then there are missions that go on, and you can interact with Magic Band Plus, solving the different clues and different challenges. So here we see players, right? The guests immerse as players. Universal just started doing this with their just opened Super Mario World at Universal Studios Hollywood. You get another type of chunky wristband, which has had mixed reviews on the internet about falling off or not. But it's not just punching the question block to reveal things or power up. There is a story that if you want to take part in that, you may. Clued Up is another one. these run these local pop-ups. I learned about this because they came here to where I live in Fort Collins. I did not participate in it, but I do wish I had. But they did the Alice in Wonderland. So I'm going to play this brief trailer here about what this looked like. And cluedup.com runs these all around the country. But what they use is they use IP or intellectual property of other people's work to help bring more people in as well. I'm assuming the sound works, right?
Curiouser and curiouser.
Alice has disappeared. She's trapped in another world, and she needs your help.
You're all mad here.
Well, you must be mad too, or you wouldn't have come here.
You think you can find her? Well, let the game begin.
You're going to need your wits, your friends, and something called an app. They said you'd know what that is. Oh, I'd save her myself, but the Queen would have my hat and head.
Well, go on. Save her if you can. Otherwise... Oops! Off with her head!
So as you can see here, there are different experiences. I can go back to the other slide. Whoops. The slide here, they have different ones, Beauty and the Beast, the Smurfs, and Alice in Wonderland. I think it's interesting because that is literally where Down the Rabbit Hole comes from, and a little bit more about what that hook means for ARGs, because it is very important. But in the last few slides that Kat showed, there were different rabbit holes, right? These different clues that were shared, like the ilovebees website, and the phone numbers flashing and that sort of thing to hook players in. But sometimes players are literally invited in, such as this one here, where they play in this mixed reality version with phones, solving different challenges. Taylor Swift is really the one I would say that is holding the mantle, even more than Disney, about running alternate reality games. I'm an unabashed Swiftie. I was able to secure tickets for this summer and everything, but very excited. And folklore really got me through the pandemic. But the all of our work really has harnessed the internet, fandom, leading up to Midnights, which broke Spotify, which the top 13 songs of Billboard were the entire album. Right? Nothing was released until day of. Players, or Swifties, were really led on this adventure with all these clues. Every day leading up to Midnight's release on her Instagram stories, it was like this grainy, like bingo machine, and a little bingo ball would come out, and another clue would be given. And this is not the first time. There are tons of clues about what's the next Taylor's version re-release that's going to come out. So it's really harnessing players, right, Swifties on this journey. But we think back to not just the fact that these are marketing campaigns, but the way it's harnessing fandom, right? The fan-driven economy and fan-driven everything, right? Looking at that Comic-Con from the mid-2000s, that's everything now, right? That's where all movies are premiering at some sort of Comic-Con. It's not like this marginalized group of what we used to call like gamers or comic book folk, but it's everything, right? And this is an example of how that comes into play right now in current day. So what exactly are ARGs, right? This is the slippery slope of defining things. Kat, do you want to have them maybe use chat for this, maybe, or? What do you think?
I wanted us to actually do a little like mini ARG that is super fast, just to get a sense, because I think sometimes it's hard to imagine what it's like until you're actually playing one.
Okay, so I could move to that?
Yeah, so move to the next slide, and then what I was hoping you could do. So maybe I should share. Well, you could also keep sharing your screen. So you could look at this image. This is the invitation. So look at the image, and if anybody, you can say it out loud or you can type it in the chat. What do you think the next step is that we should do? And Matthew will do the step that you think we should do. So let's play it together. So anybody have an idea of what the next step is? People are thinking.
Feel free to unmute. Please unmute.
Yeah, if you just
Yeah.
want to shout it out, it's
Yeah,
totally
or-
normal. It's okay if you're wrong. We will. I know all the answers, so I'll make sure that we get to where we need to go. So
And think aloud, you know, like
yeah,
throw it out there.
yeah. So is that a link from bottom right to top left? Click those letters in the message. Okay, so do you want to try clicking the letters?
No.
Nope. Just goes to the next slide, at least for us, right?
Decoded? Is it a phrase?
Maybe. Okay.
And by the way, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, good.
I was just going to say about the idea of clicking the letters, that ones, especially when it's like not blue and obvious that it's a hyperlink. Some teachers do that. I've seen some teachers do that in their classroom. They call it gamification, but it's really like an ARG here.
Oh, someone has an idea. One was to click the C in curious. So I don't know if you want to look where it says curious.
No.
But then
There's a
another
link here.
person says to go to a link. So do you want to try going to that link?
Yeah, as long as it's not a virus.
All right. So here's the link, and it brings us to a game. And it says, I don't know if you want to go to the top and just make sure that, okay. Yeah, so it just says like, this is a game across the internet. It's telling you you're in a game. It's not easy and only a few will make it to the end. And it says, I'm from Rome. Below are some images of my city. One of the images hides the next clue. Good luck. Okay, so let's maybe look at the images and see if we see anything in them. And if anybody sees anything in them, feel free to shout out what we might do for the next step.
And if you want me to scroll back up, just anyway,
Yeah, we
just
can also
state
scroll
it.
back up. So like this
Yeah.
is, again, you might get an invitation like this. Oh, and someone
Who saw
says
the
there's a
Twitter
Twitter link in the next one. Okay, so Caesar, yep, Caesar. Where is the Twitter link is the question. It's a little
On
hard to see
Twitter.
on Zoom, but if you actually go to that spot, you can see right there that there is a URL. And so let's try to go there. It's twitter.com/sonofcaesar3, but it's spelled a little differently. So we just have to make sure it's
Can you spell it for me?
yeah, son of, and then it's CESAR3. I think that's right.
What's that?
Yeah, and then it's just a 3. Yeah.
3. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So here we are on social media, and we see that it is a Twitter account, and it says, for the ones who like vintage movies, click here. For the ones who like it the hard way, click here. I recommend just going, the top one is kind of like a red herring, so it doesn't really go anywhere. So I would go to the second one and go to that one, and it brings you to game. So this is a puzzle. And so what you're trying to do is find the fastest path from Rome to Milan, and then it needs to be used as a password. And so if you scroll down, you'll see that there is a password that you have to fill out. So it's kind of like a little mini game where you have to figure out what the password is. So spend a few minutes and hopefully someone will, oh, I'm glad you think it is cool. Like, yeah, it's really fun. I have my students do this, and obviously like they help each other if they get stuck, but this is the puzzle that they get stuck the most on. So spend a few minutes. Ooh, someone has a clue that they thought about. So one person said Rubicon. Anybody else have any, before we put that in, anybody have any other possibilities for a password. All right, let's try Rubicon. So you just type that in there, and then you should be able to just click submit. And it says access granted.
CRM software doesn't have to be so complicated.
So we'll just skip the
Even
ad.
ARGs have ads.
Yeah, so just click skip ads, and then, okay, so here it says there's a video and it just says the comments. So what do we think we should do? You're already doing it.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's great.
The comments below.
Yeah, there really are comments there. So it says, well done. Here's the next piece. And it says 10 times Caesar plus 11 times Augusto plus 12 times Caligula .ch. And what do we think we should do based on that comment? Sounds like Roman to me. Check the comments. Okay. So what do you think the next step is? And anybody can shout it out, or you could type it in the chat. Is there anything that we can use? The link before had the 3 with Caesare, the link before. So is that, so maybe let's look at some of our previous links. So is that the son of Caesar? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So we can go back to this. Is this what we should be looking at? So that does say Caesare, so we could use those numbers and plug them in.
Oh,
Yeah, no, go
the
ahead.
numbers. There's numbers there, aren't there? 37 for Caligula.
Okay. All right.
And Augusto and Cesare. So I'm
Right.
just kind
27,
of
yeah. And Caesar is 49. So could we go back to that comment and see how we might plug that into the formula?
I was told there'd be no math this morning.
Yeah, I always tell them, I'm like, there's math in this, and they're like, what? There is math in this, and actually some, you know, there's all different kinds of puzzles. There's word puzzles and number puzzles, and this is sort of a number puzzle, but you know, some ARGs do have that in them. So if anybody has a thought of what the next thing should be, please feel free to type it in the chat. The number of letters equals the number for the formula. Okay, we can try that. Do you want to put that into the formula and see what it might end up being?
So it's, if it's in order, it's 49. Can't see. 49, 27, 37.
Yeah, we could do that. We could put that in. Yeah, so the first one would be 490 if that's what we're doing, because that's 49 times 10. And then we add it to, this one would be 27 times 11. But we could also do other things. I mean, there's other things we could do, like you said, number of the letters in the name. Caligula would be 37 times 12. I don't know if someone has a calculator on their phone, but you can calculate it out if you want. And then we would get what?
$490, I see here.
Okay, so you got 490 plus.
But there's a CH here in the comment.
Yep, there's also a CH, so I'm not sure. We have to figure out what that means too.
There's also, like, what is DC?
Yeah, what is DC? Is that related to this? Yeah, so there's a lot of different things to think about. So we've got 27, and it's a place in Switzerland. Cool. So we've got 10 times 49, which is 490. We've got 27. Do we want to do 27 times 11, which would be 297, just to give just to do the math for everyone. And then 37 times 12 would be 444. Okay, and then we would add, yeah, exactly, and we'd add it together. And I don't know if anyone's added it together, but it would be 1231. And so what do we do with that 1231? Ah, okay, so someone said 1231, that's it, so let's try that. Okay, so it says people have always come up with really creative ways to encrypt messages. One of my favorites is from Francesco di Terzi. So let's look down a little bit, and we've now, so this is great, we've gone to the next thing, but we have another password that we have to figure out. So yeah, and so like when you're working together in the collective, and sometimes people are working in person, but oftentimes in ARGs, they're working in this distributed manner across the world, remotely over forums or other groups. So taking that, we have a little code at the bottom, right? So this is more of like a cryptography type code, and we have something card type things in the middle. What do we think that this might be saying? And it looks like there's also a little password submission form there. So perhaps there is some kind of password. So what do we think? How might we approach this? So we see dots and we see some without dots. Are there links? There's no links here, not in this one.
So we're looking for the right letter.
Yeah.
First, I thought it would be, the first one would be
Oh,
A, but that
okay.
would be too easy. So is it R?
Yeah, and why? And like, why is it R? Because if we look at
Or is it I,
one on the
which
right,
is in the
see
same
the
space as
R,
R?
and it's got a dot. Like we know that it's like this, right? And there's a dot there, and that refers to the R in our code, right? And so if you do that out, you get an R, then an O, then an M, and then the final one is an A. And that spells Roma. So let's try that. You made it. Good job,
That's
everyone.
Philadelphia.
Yay. So again, this is just like a really very, very quick I call it a little mini ARG or a little mini, you could call it even an escape room. But I think it gives you a flavor of what it's like to do an ARG. And we can go back to the slides now.
It's interesting that there's Rocky on the steps of Philadelphia, not Rome.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's like someone said that it was an image of Switzerland, and they're right because the designers are from Switzerland.
All right, let's see. Where are the slides? Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So maybe we answered this.
Yeah. So I mean, take it away. What do you think? I don't know if Matthew, if you want to keep going.
Yeah, so ARGs obviously will take a little bit of everything. And also, I don't know if it's really healthy always to get into some definitional warfare of like, no, this is not an ARG, this is, where's the line there? There is definitely this overlap of theater games though, and you'll see that in the one that iLRN has, and this idea of network narratives and distributed learning. And sometimes I know some teachers, they share like this sort of ARG in their classroom and they call it gamification, but I would call it ARG. But anytime you're engendering play in a classroom at any grade level or any age, I think it's a win because play drives learning. So we can think about that also when we talk about ARGs, boosting engagement and learning. So I don't know, is Pokemon Go, is that an ARG, right? It's an alternate, it's an augmented reality game, right? But is it an alternate reality game? there's a nice comment here about another one to check out, which is great.
I
Thank you.
know, I just
Yeah.
clicked on that. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Brayden. That's amazing. I will definitely share it with my students too.
So some benefits of using ARGs in education. We'll just move on because there's another activity and then we'll have some more time for Q&A, I think, right?
Yeah, did we want to have like a little Slido of this? Because I do have.
Oh, yeah.
If you want, we could talk about the benefits. It depends. We don't have a lot of time though, so maybe we should just move forward.
Okay, we can circle back though if
We can circle back,
Yeah.
yes, if we have time. If we have time at the
Perfect.
end, we can do that. But I love that some of you are already putting some of the benefits in the chat, so that's great.
Yeah. So this is well, our friend Paul DeVarcy, and he runs Goldbug, or he doesn't run by himself, but he's one of the leads of Goldbug Interactive, and which is they design games and experiences for education and libraries and museums and so forth. And he was a classroom teacher. I studied his work in my dissertation. And when he was teaching in the classroom, he ran an ARG, several ARGs actually. One is called the Ward Game. And the Ward Game took the idea of high school English language arts. They used a book called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which became a movie with Jack Nicholson in the early 1970s. But it was quite famously a book that was written in the 1960s about an asylum. And the big nurse that would, we'll say, for lack of a better word, terrorize the inmates. So this is an image of Paul dressed up as the big nurse. And in the school, basically he paralleled the idea of being in an asylum, which was terrible institutions that folks with mental health challenges were subjected to in the early parts of the 20th century, to school as an institution, the high school itself. And what Paul would do would leave pages and papers and clues around the physical school itself that students would find that would lead them then to go deeper into the story, but also to read the book, right? Rather than just assigning chapters, it became part of this whole mediated experience. And the title here from the War Game, right, about how McMurphy, McLuhan, and MacGyver, right? MacGyver's like piecing things together, a famous TV show in the United States from the 1980s. But McLuhan is Marshall McLuhan, who famously mused that the medium is the message in the 1960s. And in this case, he's engaging students through the medium of alternate reality games to read. Another one that Paul did with John Fallon, who taught in Connecticut, was this ARG about data privacy. And I wrote about it for KQED, which is a National Public Radio, public broadcasting blog in San Francisco. And both classrooms got students to start to think about who owns their data, what is data privacy, and what they did was they put clues in books around the classroom, in both of their classroom, Paul in Toronto at the time, and John in Connecticut, and little flyers like that lost Osiris. I never pronounced that word right. But images there with, as you see, phone numbers, websites, and all these things to get students to learn about data privacy experientially. And you could check this article out, but this is the rabbit hole. This is where I'm getting at here. The rabbit hole is what happened. So what Paul and John did, but I remember Paul giving me this anecdote, sharing this anecdote. He would pretend he's playing a normal video for the class about whatever, and then he pretended he got an important call from the principal, so he had to step out into the hallway and said, "I'll be right back." And he stepped out in the hallway very theatrically and clicked another button, a remote button, and the video became this. This is then what students saw. I'll play just a portion of it, not the whole thing.
Greetings, Acolyte. We are Horus. You have never met us, and you never will. We, of course, know exactly who you are. We know everything about you. We know where you were born. We know where you live.
So Horus, Horus itself is a code. And this is something that Paul will go back in. The students were like, oh my gosh, we just saw this thing, right? And they were writing stuff down, and then it led them down that rabbit hole. It's the invitation to the ARG. It's a lesson hook, essentially. Not all ARGs have a secret hidden phone number in a movie poster, right? Sometimes it's literally right there on a conference program, right? So here's one, we'll circle back to this, but this is the next activity. This is the rabbit hole. So a rabbit hole is very much, again, borrowed from Lewis Carroll and Into the Looking Glass, Alice in Wonderland, is what, and Hero's Journey brings you from the ordinary world to the special world. The rabbit hole, this is a quote from John Fallon's blog on this, is the door into the ARG universe and the introduction to the game itself. A common way to create a rabbit hole is to use a popular mechanism of ARGs, the false document. False documents in media are usually a central mechanic for ARGs. They blur fiction and reality by utilizing documents, websites, social media, etc., that appear genuine but are crafted specifically for the ARG. There are a lot of tools you can do this with. Even breakoutedu.com, without even paying for breakout games, they have a list of tools that you can use to create fake movie tickets, fake everything, right? With clues hidden in it. This is something that John did using PowerPoint or Google Slides. Very easy. Took a BBC headline and just pasted words over it and saved it as a JPEG image to teach the students about Odysseus and Homer's Odyssey. This is another one that he ran in his class. So what we'd like you to do next is challenge you. You are making an ARG, but we're going to look at a serious topic here. So it could be climate change, food insecurity, or any social impact issue that you would want to teach students about more meaningfully than slides, right? And brainstorm, whoops, a typo, brainstorm, please, some false document ideas or other techniques that could invite players down a rabbit hole. So maybe it is making a fake document, a fake website, a fake video, right? What are some ways that you can then entice students or players, or maybe they're the same? In Disneyland, guests are the same as players, are the same as students, right? They're all the same. So we'll take a few minutes here. I guess we're at 10 of, so maybe in chat, you think? Or out loud?
We don't have a lot of time. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll just do it like as one big group. And if you want to, you can put it into chat. You can shout it out. It could be anything. It could be you have a fake website. You have
fake Twitter.
A Twitter account. Yeah, a fake Twitter account. Anything like that.
And we saw that excellent one with lore, right? So it could just be an image, right?
Yep. It could be an image. It could be an audio recording, fake podcast. You just type in the chat anything that comes to mind, or you can shout it out.
So do you want, sorry, me, Susanna, hold on, I just opened my, are you, here I am, yes.
Yeah.
Are you looking for an artifact or an idea?
It could be anything. Yeah, we're just brainstorming. Like you don't have to actually create the artifact. We only have 10 minutes.
I'm thinking,
yeah.
Yeah, like I'm a language teacher and I'm based in Ireland, and we have a lot of problems with accommodation. Well, not only in Ireland, though, in Italy, students are camping outside universities because they can't find reasonably priced accommodation. Wow. So I was wondering, and we have students who are going on Erasmus abroad. So maybe if, you know, an idea would be to just to say, you know, I'm going to help you find an apartment at a reasonable price in Italy, give them some fake ads, and then start from there with something about homelessness and difficulties to find places to live and everything taken over by big hotels and for tourists and all that. Maybe that could be.
Yeah, that's a great
Love
idea.
that. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. It's amazing.
Terrific. And
Yeah,
maybe one
fake
more.
ad. It's so awesome. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Cheap fake Al Gore keynote for the climate change.
Oh yeah, right.
That, yep.
That's really good.
I don't know if Al Gore would be happy about it, but yeah, that. Or you could even like have a video that is Al Gore and like hide a little, like there's like a pixel in there that you have to click on to get to, fake website or a fake social media account. Yeah.
These are good. This is really just, I think, unironically, the meta ARG here is that just thinking about what the rabbit hole is brings you down the rabbit hole, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just a really great thing just to have educators make ARGs, because really starts thinking of their students as central to the experience.
Yeah, we're trying to like kind of shift your mindset to being like, oh, like as a player, here's what an ARG is like, to becoming a designer and thinking about, well, what would be the invitation? Like, how would I get my students to get engaged and excited about a social impact issue that matters? Like you were saying about, housing insecurity or homelessness. That's really good issue that people should learn more about.
So what are some limitations? We're a little short on time, but well, we're not short on time, but we can discuss, or you can add in chat. What do you think some limitations might be to ARGs or teaching with ARGs? It's a bit of a loaded question, so I am thinking of a couple off the top of my head, because I teach escape games to my students who are going to be K-12 teachers.
Yeah. Takes a lot of time to set up. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time for us. Maybe too complex, might be too hard for our students to grasp. Absolutely.
Ethical standards for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of other ones I'll just throw out there. It's simply about accessibility. Like I've seen teachers will have a big Bitmoji themed classroom on a Google slide without it being obvious where to click. And also it takes a lot of bandwidth to do that. And we always have to be mindful of students that are have dyslexia and dyscalculia. So some of these puzzles and challenges may be difficult for some student populations to figure out. And also color blindness is higher than many folks may anticipate. And I've seen lots of clues that are given that require colors to be decoded or hidden in messages. And that's something to be aware of as well.
Yeah.
How do you get around that? Maybe, students working in groups can help. Students also having alternate assignments might help as well. I think it's, to me, this is an opinion, but I don't think students should be graded if they win the ARG or not. Don't grade winning games. It's an activity. It should be low stakes. It should be fun, right?
Yeah, I always have to tell students that, like, don't worry if you don't get to the end. It's okay. You can work with other people to help you. We're not going to grade it on this. So, yeah.
And a couple of other things is that ARGs came around the time of the Matrix. That's when they're really getting popular in that point. Like red pilling is something that's like horrible to read about on the internet, because it has to do with, conspiracy theorists. We're all living in a simulation, right? Put on your tin hats, right? And QAnon, this is from Wired, Clive Thompson at the time wrote about QAnon as a game, which is the conspiracy theory that went on 4chan and 8chan and other types of servers, leaving little clues about who QAnon was or was not. An HBO documentary suggested it was a couple of hackers in Indonesia, or in the Philippines rather. And this led to the January 6th insurrection in Washington, D.C. So, is that an ARG? Game Stonk was a nickname for folks on Reddit who were getting together to buy GameStop, which is a video game software store, as well as AMC movie theater stock, which is down just so hedge fund managers would lose money, right? So it's treating the stock market as a game. Is that an ARG? Is that good? And we run into all of the other types of limitations here. And to wrap things up, we want to suggest games should be well played. And this goes back to Bernie DeKoven's work here. And Eric Zimmerman, another game designer, sums up Bernie DeKoven's work in the 1970s, really, with this concept of the well-played game. A game is a social contract that can and should be constantly modified, but only so that we can all play well together. So QAnon, we're not playing well together. Lore, or Taylor Swift's Midnight's release, we are all playing well together, right? Not to isolate groups, not to hoard power.
This is just our shout out that Games for Change is a really useful organization for learning more about games for social impact. They don't just have ARGs, they talk about all different kinds of gaming, VR, AR, digital games, non-digital games, and have been working for 20 years. And I actually was at one of the first conferences of Games for Change. I think the second year they were there, and I've been there ever since. So yeah, if you're going to the conference, let me know, because I'll be hopefully going too.
And coming soon is the ARG in the liminal space of the conference, of this conference.
So this conference is launching its own ARG that you can be part of, which is really exciting. There's Dr. Roberto Nasir, who mysteriously disappeared 6 months ago.
Rabbit hole.
Back and ready to launch his latest invention, Genesis. And so you can be part of this. You can figure out what's this all about? What do we do about Dr. Nasir? And you can be now invited into this alternate reality world.
And we met with the design team, and it's great. You're gonna have lots of fun with this.
It's really fun. I definitely want to check it out. So I believe that you can sign up to be part of this. Is that true? I don't know if, not sure if any of the organizers are here, but I believe you can sign up. And if you're not sure how to sign up, feel free to get in touch with me, and or Matthew, and we can put you in touch with the right people.
Oh, and screenshot this. This is
Yeah.
the first link. That's Paul DeVarcy's blog. This is John Fallon's, and this is from e-learning industry. So these are all sorts of tips and toolkits for designing ARGs. Down the rabbit hole you go.
All right. Thank you so much.